I am Michael Velez, and this is the Powder Group Conversations. Today, we have with us the wonderful Angelique Velez, and we are going to be speaking on a very important topic, momentum. We're going to get into that in a minute. But I do want to thank today also, we have been joined by 6 incredible sponsors for this program. Now, these sponsors have been a part of the Powder Group programming during the last year and longer in many cases, and have really helped our community stay focused and keep moving forward together. So I'm so grateful that they have been a part of what we've done for so long now, but also incredibly grateful that they are going to be joining us for not only just the Powder Group Conversations program this year throughout 2021. But these 6 sponsors are actually going to be a part of all of our programming. So these are our full year annual sponsors. These are the brands that are making it possible for us to continue to do the work that we're doing and to share these voices with you guys. So thank you to Senna Cosmetics. Thank you to Muse Beauty Pro. Thank you to Skindinavia, to Beekman 1802, to Cinema Secrets, and to Omnia brushes. These brands have stepped up and provided so much support for our community through a really tough time, and are going to be with us as we all start to evolve from these challenges and get back to our careers and our business as what that next normal will be. So thank you again to all of our sponsors: Senna Cosmetics, Muse Beauty Pro, Beekman 1802, Omnia Brushes, Cinema Secrets, and Skindinavia. I'm going to bring on our friend Angelique Velez, and we are going to get started talking about momentum. I saw a little flash. I saw her there for a second. There she is.
Hi.
Good afternoon. I keep saying good morning, but it's afternoon already, isn't it?
It is.
I love it. I like this
Oh my.
this whole thing.
Thank you so
I'm feeling
much.
like I should have done a little something more.
It's just for you, Michael.
I love. This is an amazing opportunity for us to share this session with our community. This program, when you and I first were chatting and putting it on the table, we were talking about a whole bunch of stuff, and we got on this topic about, if I can share, I was talking about how impressed I was with how you have continued to keep moving and continuing to do so much for our community during this time. In the last year, where a lot of people were kind of just shutting down a little bit, right? And I said, how do you keep that momentum? And that was kind of the moment, right? We both went, oh, that's the discussion. That's the discussion.
Yes.
So, right. And it's a good one. It's a good one. So first, before I get into some specific questions that, I'd love to talk to you about your personal direction, things that help you keep momentum, things you think are sort of red flags that so like, whoa, I'm not doing it right, or the mistakes people can make in trying to keep momentum. I want to ask you just if you can define for us, what is momentum to you? What does it even mean?
Yeah, I think it can mean so many different things, but within business for me, it's moving forward. It's that you keep going, you stay on that path, whatever that means for you, and you keep showing up. So for me, momentum and consistency kind of go hand in hand, but it's that you keep going no matter what. You stay in motion.
I just wrote down showing up.
Yes.
Showing up.
Yeah.
Because I think, listen, and it's no secret that you have been showing up, not only for our community for years, but this past year, you kept showing up and you kept doing more, and you kept creating more ways that you can help the community. And this goes back to when we first met. You were there helping students. If you don't mind me sharing, we first met when you were a career counselor. You were helping students at Makeup Designer in New York City. Yep. And Tate and Paul are good friends of mine for years. I come in and speak to the students sometimes, and you and I connected then because I was going to come in and do a talk. Yep. And I met you and I went, who is this? Like, she's pretty incredible. Like, the energy is way more than I felt good for the students. I was like, this one will get them moving, right? First off, let's talk a little bit about that, because that I think is also helping others find momentum, helping others find that. So talk a little bit about that role and sort of what the journey is that took you from that into your next piece. Because I also think evolution is momentum, right?
100%.
Like, it's about evolving to the next place.
Yeah. 100%. So, how much time do we have?
We
But
have a half hour.
oh
We
my
could talk
God.
all day. I know.
Okay. No, but you're so right. So I was the director of career services at Makeup Designery in New York City, which I loved that position. I was able to counsel and just interact with so many students and artists and bringing the artists from our community in to talk to the students and showing them like the career that they were about to get themselves into, which I adored. So from before even starting there, I had actually started my own makeup artistry career. So is it okay if I kind of talk about that first, how I got
Absolutely. Well, again, it's what got you
yeah.
there, right? So absolutely.
So I feel as though my path is a I feel like we all always say this. Our path is a non-traditional path, but mine really, really was. So when I had graduated from college, I went to the University of Miami. I graduated, I got my bachelor's in psychology with a minor in education. I graduated and the job market was awful. Like I could not find a job. It was awful. And I always loved makeup. I enjoyed putting it on friends, sorority sisters in college. And I was like, let me just go to the local counter. I moved back home and they just happened to be expanding the local counter at Macy's, like plain and simple. I went there. I was like, let me just see if they need any help because I couldn't find a job anywhere else. And because of my degree, they hired me as a counter manager for I don't know if you guys remember. I'm a little bit older, but Tony and Tina, Anna Sui, Michael. I think you probably remember.
Oh my God, absolutely.
And when Anna Sui had her product line in
Yes,
department
and Tony and
store,
Tina was incredible.
yes, with the color chakras and the theories and oh, it was
Yes.
amazing.
So of today's moment, right?
Yes, yeah, they
Like
were
you
like
think about that line here, right? Anyway.
it's okay. They're now defunct, but if they launched now, I bet you they would be. Oh, the glitter. Someone said the glitters were amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anyway, so that actually prepared me for a lot of my journey. But even within that, I never really considered makeup artistry a real career, believe it or not, back then. So it was just something I was doing because I got the position. I loved makeup. And I actually wound up getting a job at Hofstra. And I think it was in residential life, so random. But building that career along with makeup artistry, I continued doing makeup artistry, freelancing, working in retail, and working full time at Hofstra. I actually wound up getting my master's degree in creative art therapy. So I wound up using my journey is like all over. I'm telling you, Michael. But I wound up using my bachelor's degree with my makeup artistry, combining it and then going into creative art therapy. So in
Wow.
my head, I was going to be an art therapist. Like that's where I was going. This is where we were headed. That's what I wanted to do now. When I graduated with my master's, however, I was looking like in a local newspaper and I saw artists working backstage at Fashion Week. And I was like, ooh, wait a minute. There's more than retail here. I want to do that. I want to be in Fashion Week. So I had my own office at Hofstra. They loved me. I love that job too. I was cushiony there. I had a beautiful office. People would come in, I would counsel them. And then on my board, I had a vision board in there that I actually had like articles printed out from Fashion Week as like a reminder, like that's what I want to do. And
Mm.
I've done 20 seasons of Fashion Week since then. So it's like, thank you. But yeah, so from there, I attained my master's degree. And then all of a sudden I saw this school, MUD, makeup designing. What is that? Because when I first started makeup, there wasn't really any schools out here teaching anything. You would have to go to LA if you wanted to take something. I couldn't at the time. And I was like, let me look into this. So I wound up using my degree and then my makeup artistry skills, combining everything together. And I was the director of career services at MUD. And I
Wow.
loved it. Loved it. It like brought everything together for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was my little journey that got me to MUD. And I hope some people can relate with that.
And then what got you from Mud? Because you were great. I mean, they all loved you. I know when you left, they were like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And they're great folks there now too. But what was that momentum moment that said to you, "Okay, this is great. I love it. You're joyful, but there's more, and you want more." What gave you the ability to push forward to that? And how did you get into the makeup part that you started on after Mud?
Yeah. So when I was working at MUD, I was still working 7 days a week. So I still was doing my makeup artistry on the side. I was still working at MAC. Well, actually, from Tony and Tina Anna Sui, I went to MAC part time. So I was freelance with MAC for a little tidbit. And I was still working at MAC. I still had my own private clients. I was working 7 days a week like a crazy woman. And it came to a point where I was assisting this artist, and the agency reached out to me and they were like, "We want to represent you. Are you game?" And I had been waiting kind of for that moment, Michael, but I loved my job so much at Mud. It was like one of those things. Do I leave this cushiony 9 to 5 with the health benefits and all the goodness into this unknown world of freelance makeup artistry that I counsel students about all the time? And I had to take a leap. Something inside me was like, Angelique, if you don't do this, you're going to regret it. So I did it. And the rest is history. And actually, the first program, I think a month out of leaving Mud, I took was Evolution.
That was though, so that was the year when you came to the Powder Group's Evolution program in Provincetown. That was the year that you had just left Mud.
Yes.
I did not remember that.
Yep. 100.
That's amazing.
And that's why I tell you, you are like my mentor. Like I owe so much to you in the Powder Group. Honestly, like I wouldn't, because leaving that cushion, and I know so many artists can relate, especially if you are in a full-time position, leaving that was so scary. Like I knew exactly what I was making every month. Like, and then I had my freelance stuff on top of that. So I was making more. But leaving that behind was like, oh my goodness, what am I entering into? But the rest is history.
Let me ask you this, and I think that you're right. A lot of people can relate to this idea of being, I don't want to say stuck, that's a terrible word, but being sort of like you're in a thing that feels a little safe, less safe probably during pandemic because, people are in and out of positions and roles now because there's such a shift in business needs. Yeah. But what do you feel gave you that ability? You did it. But what's that headspace like? Like, what is the thing that someone needs to put in their head in order to allow themselves to start that process? Because, you don't have momentum without a start, right? I always talk about, in some of my programs, my career programs, I always talk about like starting from stop. Like if you're in a full-time gig, like you're out, you're working, as a nurse practitioner, or you're an executive assistant, and you're doing weddings on the weekend, you're in that movement stage, right? And then you just needs to pass it off to the makeup artistry piece once you're ready. What is the thing that you think you have? What are the traits about you that allow you to keep momentum moving, especially if there's tough times like there've been in the last year?
It's not easy. I'm going to say that first and foremost, but I feel like for me, it's all about mindset, and it's definitely a work in progress. So I don't want to say that it's something that just comes. It's a lot of personal development, a lot of mindset work. But for me, it's following that inner voice. If you have that inner voice inside of you that's telling you this is meant for you, this is what you should be doing, listen to it. You know better than anyone else what is meant for you. You just have to follow that voice and listen to it, not listen to the naysayers, all those outside that may not understand what it is that you're doing, because they're not going to. Honestly, like they're not going to.
They don't need to.
They don't need to. 100%. You have to, and
Right.
You have to listen to that. And it's that belief that you believe in yourself and what you're doing. And that's kind of what I do, and I focus on. And even through all this during the pandemic, it has been so hard. I may have been showing up and coming with all these things, but I'm not going to say it was easy. I really had to look inside of myself and dig deep and believe that I could do it. It's almost crazy to think.
It is. Let me ask you kind of a funny question. How much of that belief is from your soul, and how much of it is in your head? How much is it you just telling yourself, I don't care what you're feeling, you got to believe, and your heart still is kind of like, like, are you still, is there the anxiety? Is there the anxiousness? Because again, I think we look at people who continue to move and who have momentum in their world and who have momentum in their careers and their business. And we say, oh, if I could only be like Angelique, if I could only be continuously moving forward. And I think they think and feeling positive and feeling inspired, but it's not always one and the same.
No, I have to say for me, it's actually the opposite. It's my heart that drives me. It's my head that tries to talk me out of it. So it's so crazy. Like my head, I call my alter ego Angelica, like Angelica from the Rugrats, because she's like supposed to be annoying, right? So I'm like, Angelica, take a back seat. You need to stop talking. Like, I feel you. I hear you. I'm going to address you later, but we're going to keep moving and we're going to keep doing this because my heart is telling me that's where my passion lies. So I follow that, like my inner heart almost.
So I should have Mike and Michael.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And I talked to her. I talked to Angelique. I hope you guys don't think I'm nuts on here. Start addressing that alter ego. Like I've started doing that, and it's been a game changer.
what do you think are some, and it's easy enough to say the opposite of what you just said is the roadblocks, but when people are having a hard time, and let's take out of the equation COVID,
Mhm.
let's take out of the equation the financial
Mm.
piece of it, because I don't have a lot of money to throw at projects and things. I would be doing a lot more cool stuff if I did. You may or may not have a ton of money to be putting against projects, but I think people always go, I don't have the money to do it. Or I don't have the time to do it, or because of COVID. But you have literally in the last year, I feel like every time I turn around, I was looking at you doing something new. There was something else coming out. Did I tell you my products are going to be here? Did I tell you we're doing a collaboration like this? Did I tell you that I'm going to be doing a new program, which I want to ask you about too? But what do you think are some of the barriers that people face, or maybe what are some of the barriers that you face when you're trying to maintain momentum?
For me, honestly, money isn't even really the barrier half of the time. So, for example, I started a podcast that was free. I didn't have to put any money into that. It's more time, and
Right.
for me, time sometimes is harder to get than money, if that makes sense at all. Like finding the time to do it, but that it didn't cost anything. As far as like money with the products, I try to do what I can with what I have. I've always been like that. So I assess my situation, I assess and see what I have, and I try not to make up excuses for it. If that, and it sounds so harsh, but it's true. I try to do what I can with what I have. And trust me, with what you have is enough. You will find a way to do what you need to do with what you have. You can't let those barriers hold you back, because they will. You'll make up any excuse and not do it.
Yeah. Guilty.
Same. I'm
Guilty.
like preaching on it, but I'm like, same.
Right? So you're not perfect. This is good. Okay, this is good
No,
to
oh
know.
my, are you
So
kidding me?
so
No.
what is I think about you again, and I think about how tough this was this year for people. And I think about how tough, and we've had this talk. It was tough for me. It was tough for you. And it's easy enough for me to, easy enough is not the right word, but to say, well, there's there's only two options. And I've said this in my career programs, and I said this to you as well. There's either breakups to makeups after pandemic, or there's, I used to have a company called Breakups to Makeup. So once we make that determination that it is not, Lisa Smith, who used to be a makeup artist before the pandemic, but it's Lisa Smith, who is a makeup artist in 2022. Once we make that decision, are there tools that you can use? Are there check marks you can put in place that allow you to say, like, okay, I might not be here yet, but I'm a little farther, and I'm a
Right.
little far, because momentum isn't necessarily fast, right? I mean, I think people think momentum is like, you start moving and you keep moving and you move faster and faster. I think of it's Newton's law of inertia. An object at rest stays at rest
Mm-hmm.
unless another force makes it move, and an object in motion stays in motion at that same speed unless another force like gravity or a wall makes it stop moving.
Right.
And I think that movement is momentum. Any movement forward, right? Is any movement at all momentum, or is it has to be movement that you see as progression?
I would say it's focused movement. So, for example, I'm going to break it down a little bit. So,
Right.
I feel like it's almost, if you think of consistency, and I literally just put out the podcast today is on this consistency. You need to show up for your business, whatever that looks like for you. And if you're talking about Lisa, the former makeup artist, and Lisa made a decision that she no longer wants to be a makeup artist, that's fine. And that's okay. Just decide what it is that you want to focus on. That may be your former identity. If you continue and you still want to be a makeup artist and you feel that inside of you, and you feel that like, this is still for me, no matter what's going on with COVID going on, I still want to do this, then you need to continue showing up every single day. And I don't care if it's for 10 minutes one day, that's okay. 5 minutes one day. You post one little post, jump off. All right, I did my duty. Now I'm going to go binge watch on Netflix. But you actually showed up consistently on a daily basis, that's going to give you the momentum. And that's what I had to do. And some days it was just the 5 minutes, Michael. Some days I literally was like, one email. All right. Phew, I sent that one email out. Where's my ice cream? Let's get the ice cream. Let's put on Schitt's Creek and we're just going to sit and chill because that's all I had for today. And that's okay.
That's all I had for today. And that's okay.
Yes.
That's important.
Very important.
I think it's again, I keep saying this, it's very easy for us to look externally at businesses or people and to apply this expectation of ourselves to move forward as much or as fast as we perceive, I'm using that word on purpose, as we perceive others to be, because we don't know their stuff, right? This program, Conversations, I was going to do this and a podcast 18 months ago. And then other businesses I partnered with did podcasts and things like that. And I was like, I'm going to hold off because, so this is an old concept that I finally launched. And now we have the Powder Group podcast that these will all go on to. But you've got this wheelhouse of stuff, right? This pile of things you want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes just taking something off that pile and putting it in front of you and saying, here's what I'm going to start with today.
Yes.
Right? It's that one step. So you just answered two questions in one. The other question I was going to jump back to was, what are some tools that you're using during pandemic to continue to move forward and continue to have momentum? Because if I look at you and it's the perception again, I look at you and I go, it's like, you started a year ago when we all sort of started going, what do we do now? And you took this path that you just described for us. Yeah. That path looked to us easy. You've said it's not. Momentum is not easy. No. That path looked steadfast and solid and consistent. And yes, while it maybe wasn't as solid and consistent as we thought it was, because you put the 5 minutes in every day. So we saw you all the time. Yeah. So showing up. So the tools that you used during this last year, some of them were showing up, some of them were taking something off the back burner and putting it on the front. And are there any other tools, maybe it's the way you set goals, maybe it's the way that you track your progress in a project. Is there anything else that you can give as advice to someone who's trying to find a way that they can start to feel, because that's a big part of it. I might be spinning my wheels every day, but I don't feel like I'm gaining any momentum. So what are some tools that you use or that you recommend to people?
So first and foremost, I like to brain dump a lot. So I constantly have a journal that I use, and I literally brain dump my goals and what I'm looking to focus on for the year, for the month, for the week, and for the day. I literally break it down. And I know it sounds crazy. So if you can just do the day, that's awesome too. Like, just figure out what it is that you're looking to accomplish and just try to do one thing. Just one thing, like break it down that simplified. And that's been helping me tremendously, as well as, honestly, Michael, attending, I'm not even trying to plug you here, but attending the Powder Group events, being surrounded by a like-minded community has also helped me tremendously, because we are our own worst critics. We will talk the worst to ourselves, right? But if we are surrounded by others who help uplift and empower us, and I'm not talking about our significant others or our moms or dads or our children, like, we need people in our community that understand what we're going through. That helps tremendously as well. Any type of personal development. I listen to a lot of podcasts constantly. So I've actually switched. And if you guys know me, you know I love music. I love to dance. My son loves dance and we all love it. But now, rather than music, a lot of times I'll put on podcasts that it's literally going into my mind all the time. And I can't stop, because someone's constantly talking to me like, you need to keep going. Like, I'm doing this, so can you, almost. So those are tricks that have been helping me, as well as planning my day. And I know this is so hard for us as artists. It's so hard, especially when we're home and it's kind of like, all right, so what are we doing today? And I did that for the first couple of months of quarantine, and it didn't help. I literally have to plan my day as if I'm going to work on set and planning around it like I used to do, if that makes sense. So it's almost like, okay, in the morning, what am I doing? Am I going to be posting from 10 to 10:15? All right, let's do it. I'm writing that down. What am I posting? What content am I putting out today? It's really getting that refined. And that's helped me a lot. I
Yeah.
know it's not the fun stuff.
Well, listen, and I think one of the things we're really good at in the powder group community and in your community, which is a part of what we do in such a big way, is being real honest about the fact that this is a career and a business. And you know, how much of doing makeup artistry is applying makeup versus all the other stuff?
Right?
How much of creating an amazing, breakups to makeups bag is the process of actually getting it in someone's hand, passing it on. It's all the work beforehand. Putting on a program for 30 minutes or for 2 days at the powder group, that's great, but there's hours and hours and hours of work before and after. So I think that this idea of planning to move, planning your momentum, planning. And I think also, if I can, I think, because I don't do this and I'm gonna now, maybe start, if you're trying to gain momentum, if you're trying to develop momentum in your path, your career, your business, maybe not only doing what you just described, which I'm going to start doing in a much more stringent way now, thank you, but also then looking at what is next week. What do I have to accomplish by next week? Because if you put that on, and we talk about short and long-term goals all the time, right? We did an evolution, we did a business evolution, and I think the things are, you as a businesswoman have to set goals. You look at a calendar, you go, when is this event I need a new bag for? When are we doing this launch? When are we doing this? And you plan things out. But we don't always do it with all the other parts, do we?
No.
We don't do it with the other parts. I don't say, okay, our social media plan is this, and here's what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to communicate it. And then say, and then 30 days later, my results should be this. And I'm going to check in on myself during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So that idea of planning out, even in that short term of a month away or a week away, and then saying halfway through that period, am I doing anything toward it? Did I do 5 minutes today, like Angelique said to?
Exactly.
Did I write one email today, like Angelique said to? I think about making the magazine, right? I think about the fact that Stacy and I have been talking about this magazine issue, and Shannon Levy, who writes my on-set stuff, have been talking about it for 2 months already. It comes out in April. And we're already, every day I do something, every day. And I think what I don't do is I don't say by Friday, I want to have this done. So now I'm gonna start doing that, because otherwise I spin my wheels too. We're
Yeah.
all busy, right? I think it's very interesting. This advice is great because I think that there's a lot of barriers that we have that are unnecessary. Unnecessary. Yes, we can put weight on ourselves. Yes, we can say, like, this is my expectation. But I think you said something before, and I'm going to jump back to it. You insinuated, you didn't say necessarily, but it's psychological in a lot of ways, right? There's some psychological. You said in your heart, it tells you this is what you need to do. This is how you need to get to your next step. This is your next place. In your head, you're going like, okay, wait. Sometimes Angelique is getting in the way. Sometimes Angelique's getting in the way. But I think that there's also the energetic, emotional, or psychological part of it, which is fear, lack of confidence. How much of it do you think is that? And besides surrounding yourself with support and listening to inspirational speakers, is there anything else that you've been able to find to do to get yourself past that moment of doubt? Because that's a big hurdle, isn't it?
Huge. Imposter syndrome is real, you guys. Imposter
Imposter
syndrome is
syndrome.
so real. It's literally addressing it. Honestly, I know this sounds so simple, but I address it like, I'm like, all right, Angelica, you're there. I feel you. What do you got to say? All right, let's revisit that later, but we're going to keep going today.
Yeah.
I just address it honestly, Michael. And I'm like, no, you are good enough. It's almost in the morning. Oh my goodness. In the morning, I actually set like mantras. I am good enough. I am brave enough. I'm bold enough. I repeat it to myself. I also say things as though I have them. Bear with me here, you guys. So, for example, a big goal of mine right now, I want to buy, we as a family want to buy this huge home that, so we have the home. Like, I write it down. We have our dream home. It's in our hands. I know what it looks like on the outside. I know what the kitchen looks like. I know the hardwood floors on the inside down to the T. So it's almost like visualizing and saying that it's mine already. I do that. It's like manifestation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I always say, I don't necessarily believe in visualization and manifestation on their own, because we can all sit and think
Right.
about what we want to do. What we have to do in order to start the path movement forward and start the momentum moving forward and keep the momentum going is not just think about it.
I write
It's
it down.
not
Yeah.
just think about it. It's make the plan and it's act on the plan.
Yeah.
And again, it seems like such simple stuff, right? But I think it's stuff that we've forgotten because we're all struggling to keep moving right now.
Mhm.
And I think that maintaining momentum can be one of the things that can make you feel the best about where you're at, and lack of momentum can make you feel the worst about where you're at. How do you manage from an energetic standpoint? Because we all see this happen. Looking at social media, looking at, you know, things that people are saying that they're doing, watching other people do what you, again, perception and reality are different, what you perceive as more than you're doing, accomplishing more. How are they even doing that during a pandemic? I'm so down on myself because they're doing more and I'm not. How do you address that energy that you come up with? Because I think it's another barrier.
Yeah. And it's real. Once again, I go through this, you guys. So I don't want to act like I don't. What I have to do, I literally give myself social media time. I go on, I post what I have to post. I will do a couple likes, do a couple comments, and I'm out. That's it. I don't spend time lingering and doing the mindless scroll. Rather than doing that, now I'll pick up a book and start reading. I mindfully stay away from it as much as I can because it was having such an effect on me. And I feel like you have to decide and determine for you what that looks like. For me, it was having a very big effect on me. So I had to give myself those 50, I give myself 15 minutes. I go on, post what I got to post, and I'm out. And then I'll revisit. I'll come back a little bit later on in the day. And you know, I make sure you answer your comments because those are your followers. You want to make sure that you're answering and that you're liking other people's pages. But then I sign off again. I literally time it. I have for myself. That's what I have to do to stay sane.
Listen, that's really smart because there's more and more stuff out there for us to be distracted by right now.
Yes.
Let's be honest. No, not for nothing, but there's a lot of stuff, and we can either sit around on social media,
Right.
all different ones, not just Instagram, not just
Yeah.
Facebook. You've got Clubhouse, you've got this, you've got that, you got TikTok, and people are using these in smart ways. But if you think about the amount of time you have in a day, and you ask yourself, if I spend 1 hour building my business or
Mhm.
1 hour scrolling through social media, what's going to happen with my business? Which is going to benefit me more? I do believe you can have both, right? I'm on social media, you're on social media, but I think you have to guard your energy. You have to be able to say to yourself, where do I start and where do I stop? And I love this idea of timing it. I'm going to start putting a literal timer. I'm
Yes,
going to set
that's
my
what I
phone
had to start doing. Yeah.
because we
And
got a lot of stuff to do.
yes, it became second nature. So I started doing that. I think it took me around a month. And then after that, like I already knew, oh, Angelique, you've been on here 20 minutes. You got to get off. Get off, girl. I didn't even have to have the timer there. And I knew, and I was like, all right, I gotta get off.
Two more quick questions.
Yeah.
One, with the pandemic, it seemed like you had this plan and you had knocking this out, knocking that out, knocking that out. How much of that was planned in 2019 versus stuff? I hate the word pivot, but how much of it was a pivot for you? How much of it was like, well, I'm not going to be at, the makeup show's not doing a live event in May, so I'm going to do this instead. How much of it was pivoting? How much of it was a plan?
I love this question. I really do. It all was pivoting. I'm not going to front. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Literally in a 2-week time period, everything shut down for me within breakups to makeup. Most of my business, most of my revenue comes from actual live in-person events. I had things planned the entire year into 2021 already. I literally was traveling every single month like I normally do. Busy, busy, busy. Shut down 2 weeks. So I had to sit. I sat for a little bit, and I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What's gonna happen? And then I had to start planning. There was no time for I had to start planning. What am I gonna do? And that's when I started the word that you hate, pivot. I started pivoting, and things that I wanted to do that were already kind of in the back of my mind. I was like, let's do that. Let's see what I can create. Let's see what I can come up with. And I started creating, and that's what I did.
And speaking of creating, you have last question. We're just up at a half hour now, and I'm really doing my best to try to keep these in nice tight timing. So thank you for being with us. But I have one last question. What's next? Speaking of momentum, you got some other stuff going on you're working on right now. And now that I know about all the art therapy stuff, which I didn't know, now it's all coming together, right? Again.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Talk about it.
I'm like, I get so excited because it's almost like your journey, it comes around. You have that like full like moment where it's like, that's why I did all of that stuff. So we are within Breakups to Makeup. I'm launching a whole educational component, which includes something that I've created called My Makeup Mastermind, which is a mastermind program for makeup artists and business owners. And I'm so excited about it.
What now? What if you don't mind, if it's not secret stuff yet? What does the Makeup Mastermind program entail? Is that and it's for business? You said it's for a business owner or a product as much as it is, and so it's not learning makeup.
No, it's not learning me. It's all like I don't even want to say business aspect because it's more like the mental aspect. It's goal setting, planning, figuring, it's very individualized, figuring out what it is that you are looking to do within, it's a 3-month program within that 3-month time period. And we break it down. So that way, every day, every month, you know exactly what you're tackling and what you need to do. We keep you focused. We keep you accountable. You have an accountability partner. We have one-on-one calls with me, group calls. It is like, intense, but amazing and fun all at the same time.
That sounds amazing. I might be joining up. I might sign up tomorrow right now. I need some more Angelique in my life.
Oh, I love
My
it.
friend, thank you so much for being with us. I always enjoy our time talking, and I'm so grateful that we had a chance to bring your voice to our Powder Group community. I am Michael DeVellis. This has been the Powder Group Conversations with Angelique Velez on Momentum. Thank you to our sponsors, Skindinavia, Senna Cosmetics, Muse Beauty Pro, Beekman 1802, Omnia Brushes, and Cinema Secrets. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.